Hi guys, this is Tiffany and you've reached my channel Give Me a Reason, and I'm here to do a video for you guys. I told you I'd come back and do a video for you, so I'm here to do that. This video is basically going to give you some study tips and pointers for flight attendant training. I had someone ask me about just different tips on how to how to study during training, and I thought that this would be a wonderful way to help somebody, whether it's the person who asked me or someone else who needs the help, because you may not be subscribed, but hey, I'm here to help. So let's get started. Um, if you don't know, every airline is different. Pretty sure you know all the names are different, but every training session is different. Some airlines send you packets, when you get home. Some airlines give you packets when you're hired. Some airlines basically kind of set you up and give you a syllabus of what you want to be learning and training. Now, my airline, we received a packet in the mail once we kind of like got through the first portion of our background, and we had the opportunity to study. So they gave us like about a good month to study before we got before we went to training. So some airlines, they test you on the first day. Our airline didn't. Some airlines, you have an entrance exam. Our airline didn't. So every airline is different. So I may be telling you certain things about an airline. I'm just talking about what I've experienced and what I've heard from other flight attendants when I fly, and I talk to other flight attendants when I'm like out and about from different airlines. Now, I can honestly say training isn't as difficult. The only thing that's really difficult is basically memorizing the schematics of the plane, and basically you're memorizing everything about that plane and where all the emergency equipment is, because that's what you're there for. You're there for an emergency. So a lot of people kind of get tripped up with that. Now, back to other airlines. Some airlines have one particular plane. Some airlines only have two types of planes. Some airlines have five, and so on and so forth. I know that Delta has of a lot of different models of aircraft, but I heard that the reason why their training is so long is because they spend a couple of days on each model or each class. So mine, we have like different models, but it was like 5 different classes. So classes mean 5 different types of aircraft. So that's basically where you'll probably need to study the most. I used to be the person that can see something, and I had that photographic memory. I don't have that anymore. When I went through domestic violence, yeah, I don't have that anymore. So here are some pointers of how I and some of my fellow coworkers memorized a lot of the schematics, because I'm telling you, a lot of the testing is just policies and procedures, security, a lot of the security, safety stuff that you're learning hands-on, so you have to be certified on that. You just have to kind of learn the amount of like the CPR, the amount of breaths and compressions and stuff like that. So that is not really hard. It's just knowing where your emergency equipment is in case of an emergency. So basically, here are some ways of how we studied in training. We had some people that kind of had ADD, so they couldn't really focus. So what we did was, for example, and I'm just going to give you examples because it's better to explain examples. So this particular gentleman, he studied. We have like the entire aircraft from the flight deck to the tail, just the end of the aircraft, and we had to memorize from the flight deck all the way throughout the aircraft where all the emergency equipment was. So it was like broke down in sections. So what he did was he memorized each section. So we would help each other out. I helped him out a lot. I helped a lot of people out when I was studying, and I mean, that's just my character. But what he did was, I would tell him, okay, I'm gonna give you 15 minutes. Block everybody else out. Put your music on, whatever you gotta tell yourself. But I need you to memorize this in 15 minutes. I set my clock on my phone, because I always had a phone and some other phone. But I set my clock on my phone and I let him study for 15 minutes. As soon as his 15 minutes was up, we always had copies of the blank copy of the schematics, which is the aircraft as a whole, and you just fill in the blanks. So we had multiple copies of those. So I would tell him, okay, your 15 minutes is up. Give him the form and give him the schematic blank copy, and he would take a test. If he passed, he'll continue on to the next section. If he didn't, he'll study again, and I would take back the old schematic, and I would, trash that and give him a new one and let him do the test all over again. Okay, and once he passed that, then he'll go on to the second portion, which I think was the galley. So he would learn the galley. So I gave him 15 minutes to learn the galley. So I was studying myself. I come back as soon as the 15 minutes was up. He took a test, but this time he didn't just fill in the schematics for the second portion of the plane. He had to fill in the schematics from the flight deck, then the galley. So basically, if he started step 1, he didn't just do step 2 test. No, he had to do step 1 and then step 2. And then once he got those down packed, then he goes to step 3. And then when he wants to take a test for step 3, he had to take a test for 1, 2, and 3, and so on and so forth. So that's how he learned. He did use a lot of like things that he was interested in. Like he loved women, he loved sports, he loved cowboys. So he thought of different things about certain equipments in the first letter of the name of the equipment, and that helped him. Like we have an equipment that has the initials BB. He thought of, and he wasn't disrespectful at all, but he said he liked big breasts. Then we had one that had LL, the initials LL. He thought he loved women with long legs. So that's his way of studying. Another way of studying is basically just repetition. Some people, like back in the day when you used to have to write 100 times on the board. Well, let me say, y'all didn't have to do that, but that's what I had to do, because I'm from the older generation. But basically, just writing it repetitiously, like over and over and over again. That's how another person learned. Other people learned by telling stories. Like I had a young lady, we, made stories about it. Like we had 2 particular pieces of equipment that's, if you see one, you want to see the other. So that was a married couple. And then we had this one equipment that just was always with those 2 particular equipments, and it just seemed so out of place. But that was a side chick. It was just stories that we made up for her to understand. And even though it seemed pretty stupid, it helped her memorize it, because when I would look over at her, she's taking a test and she's like laughing to herself because she's thinking about this. She cheating with, the husband's cheating with the side chick, and the side chick gonna get her butt whooped, and we gonna need a first aid kit. It was just things that helped her memorize it. Now, me myself, I'm a multitasker. I love to kind of eliminate things that's easy and focus on the things that's hard. Now, for example, every jump seat at our airline had 3 particular items that was always under every jump seat. Always. So it could be 15 things added to that one jump seat, but it's always those 3. So once I got those 3 memorized, I knew that once I had my schematic, I always filled in all 3 of those. So like say for a section, if we have 8 things, I already know 3 of those things I already know, and I only have to memorize the other 5. That's how I did. I looked at things I made, like, like for the first letters, I made songs. Some, we had people who were realtors, so they thought of pitch sayings that helped them study. And they wrote it down, and we would test each other, and then we would sit down, and some people had to think about it logically. Like we had a young lady who was, I think she graduated in something in law, so everything had to have a rhyme or reason. So she would sit down and say, okay, we have these particular equipment by this, seat, because we have to make sure that this would be taking care of the passengers here, and these passengers here have to make sure they focus on this. So she had to kind of explain to herself why those particular types of equipment was at that, in that area or up under that seat. Another thing I did was I actually recorded myself reading off the schematic of each section on my phone like I'm recording a video, but basically it was just like me, and I turned the phone dark and I just recorded myself reading from the flight deck to the end of the back of the aircraft. And so at night when I was going to sleep, I would listen to it while I was going to sleep, and then when I would wake up in the morning, I would listen to it like it was, like it's a story. It's like it was like Groundhog Day, because it was like I was listening to the same thing over and over and over. And so when I was in class, when I was taking the test, I was like, oh yeah, I remember, that was there, and oh, I remember hearing that from from my recording. So that's another thing that I did to study. Sometimes some people can't study with a group. You have to study alone. I can do both. I can study with a group, and then I can study alone. The only time that I would separate myself from the group is if it's slowing me down and focus more on them trying to learn, and then I'm falling behind. That's the only way that I would kind of like, separate myself. And there were times that I did have that time where I was like, okay, I gotta back away and kind of focus on me, because no. So don't be hard on yourself. If you don't make 100, I know everybody wants to be perfect. I was making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I made some really good grades. I never made nothing in the 80s at all, ever. So it was always, I think the lowest I made was a 96 or 92, and that 92 woke me up like, oh no, you need to get on your shit. So that's another way to study. Some people can read over things over and over again, or some people can look down and just see that and envision it, and visualize it. Did I just say visualize it, and it sticks to them. Now, some airlines take you to the aircraft at the beginning of training, so you can memorize the schematics. Some airlines take you to mock-ups, which is basically a setup of that particular aircraft. Some airlines take you towards the end when a plane is available. We went towards the end, so we actually hard down had to memorize and put in our minds of what this plane looked like in our minds. Some people went on YouTube, looked at different types of videos to see what the aircraft looked like, to try to have a clear understanding. But it felt a lot better when we were on the aircraft and we seen, all the emergency equipment in different areas. So there, like the other day when I was flying, I was sitting in the jump seat, and I seen all the things that I studied and that I seen in the manual. I was like, oh, that's there. Oh, that's right, because that means if that's there, then this is here. So it's coming to me a little bit at a time. Now, you may memorize it to pass the test, and then you're kind of bombarded with so much information. When you get on the plane, it'll come to you more often, and it'll come to you slowly but surely. Nobody wants you to be a genius. They just want to make sure that you're able to locate the equipment, you're able to understand how the equipment operates, and you're able to take care of somebody in case of an emergency. So my advice to you is always read over the emergency portion of your manual, like CPR, first aid, heat strokes, hypoglycemic, hyperglycemic, strokes, heart attacks, seizures, blood loss, pregnancy, death, using your PVE, your POV, your fire extinguisher, or halon. Just always glance over that. I always have my notes with me, and plus I have my name, but I always have my notes with me, and I kind of go over it, things I've learned, because you're there for safety, and you never want to be caught up where you're asked how to save somebody's life, or something happens on your aircraft and you don't know, and you're held accountable for somebody's, either dying or something happening to them. And I never want that to happen to anybody. So just don't put in your mind that I just need to memorize this to take my test. You can do that right now while you're in training. I'm not saying it's healthy and it's smart, but to get through training, because you're so, indulged in trying to learn, and you're so engulfed with so much information. I'm not saying that that's the best way, but at least when you get through training, make it your business to go over all types of safety, safety situations. Make sure you know your commands. So if you have an emergency, you're saying exactly what you're supposed to be saying, so people can do what the hell you tell them to do. I'm telling you, do that. So that's basically how I study. I just read over things. I did my homework. Um, don't always, I know how like some people get in groups and you do your homework together, and like we had groups and one person having one question, the other person have another question, and we went on like that. Um, just go over your homework yourself when you get to, get by yourself. Just know that you are familiar with what you're filling out. So uh, training, I'm telling you, it's hard, but you have to stay focused. A lot of people party and they still pass. Some people can do that. I'm telling you, I can't do it, but some people can do that. Um, just know you're there for a job, and it may seem fun. You may, have a blast and going out, but you're there to work. You're at work, and you're there to save a life. And it's all fun and games until something happens on the aircraft, and you can't do anything about it because you're blank. So you never want to be in that position. But those are only the things that I did really to memorize a lot of stuff. Um, People have flashcards. I have flashcards. Some people use flashcards on their phone, that app, the flashcard app. Um, but a lot of people, I think our group, we did a lot of writing. We did a lot of memorizing. Okay, you ready? Okay, write it down. So we did a lot of writing. I feel like once you write it over and over again, it's like your signature. You just keep practicing. Like when you're learning how to write when you're in grade school. Kindergarten and elementary school. You just continuously write it till you know how to write all the letters in the alphabet. That's how we did with the schematics. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that every portion of training isn't hard, but I can say that schematics is the most difficult. Now, for the airlines that has one plane, one type of aircraft, kudos to you. Because, baby, even though we don't have the amount of aircraft that I think it's Delta has, I was still struggling. So just don't. But when I say that, anybody who has applied for Delta and got a job with Delta, I did hear that they spend at least 3 days on certain classes of aircraft. So it gives you time to familiarize yourself. And I think that airline has mock-ups so you actually see the aircraft, so you're familiar with it. So I mean, like I said, every airline is different, and Delta, when they have you in training, from what I heard, their training isn't as hard as people try to make it seem. I think the interview process, they say, is a little bit more intimidating than the training. So yeah, quick update. I still love what I'm doing. I'm having a great time. I'm loving Dallas, Texas. I haven't really been able to enjoy it yet because every time I'm on reserve, my behind is flying, which is good because I want that bread. But other than that, that's about it. So hopefully this helped you guys. Hopefully you guys continue to support me. If you guys have any questions, even if you are subscribed, if you're not a subscriber, thank you guys for subscribing. Hey to my old ones, hey to the new ones. I had a brain fart just then and I was like, wait, what was I saying? But thank you guys for listening and giving a reason. Hopefully this helps you, and I'm so glad to hear about all these airlines hiring, and you guys are able to just enjoy this field. Just know that, just make sure that you're financially conscious and smart, and you're just not out splurging, because when you start flying, you may not make the money that you think you're going to make when you first start. So you always got to think about that. You always think about a rainy day. I've been there where I was like, oh yeah, whatever, I'm waiting for the rain, and then I was like, oh, the rain came, and I'm like, oh God, I feel drenched. Like, what the hell, Lord, let it stop raining. So just a word of advice. But yeah, that's about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, you always leave them in the comment section. I will comment. I have both phones now. My backup phone, because I'd be so afraid that I can't have this phone. Because schedule do not play. When they call you, your behind better be available. And then I have my phone that I'm recording on. So I have both phones. So when I do get questions, I'll definitely answer them as much as possible. So thank you guys for listening, give me a reason, and congratulations on the ones who have been hired and you're waiting to go to training. Blessings on you, and I cannot wait to hear or see a comment from you guys or a message telling me, girl, I made it, and maybe a picture. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for visiting, give me a reason, and see you guys soon. Bye.